Oh, yeah, it's Gary Sanchez time. Teddy Bear, Gary, the Kraken, the man on my hat, my best friend, my dude, born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, December 2nd, 1992. Cute as a button, everyone's best friend, the Sanchez. Gary Sanchez, 2020 player profile and projection. Myself and Jake. Just going to talk about Gary. How you doing, Jake?
Hey, Jim. There you are. I'm good, man. I'm good. Gary Sanchez, Yankees catcher, we think.
We are under the impression.
That's what we believe coming into the season. Sucks that some people probably wouldn't even think that's a joke, which is really dumb. Gary's awesome, and I think we do need to preface this, and we like showing what's behind the curtains. We recorded this last night, and we were hardcore. I mean, it was a Gary Sanchez player in projection. We had highs, we had lows, we were emotional, and the second we finished, the audio recording was not there. So if you hear us do like an ooh, that might be us remembering a tape line from yesterday. Hey, maybe we'll be really good. Maybe we'll be more concise to the point. No way.
Yeah, actually, Jake, we didn't lose it. I just wanted to talk about Gary twice. So it's an inside job. Let's do it. And I told you this last time. I made this kind of warning or precaution or whatever last time. The episode that is gone. If you're a first time Talkin Yanks listener, if you're just getting into us, here's the rule. Gary's my dude.
Yeah.
And shut your butt about him. I'm in a new building. Victor the doorman loves the Yankees. I like him. He's a nice guy. We talk. There was another guy hanging out in the lobby. He started saying, "You know who I don't like? Gary." And I said, No. This is the Talkin Yanks building now, and we don't do that here. So gave him a quick shut up.
Do you know what the American League is?
Yeah, well, baseball started as two different leagues. There was the National League. They made the American League. Eventually, they joined, and they got a commissioner to make one major league in the World Series. So the American League has the DH.
15 teams.
15 teams, yeah. 5 in each division.
In American League history, no person has gotten to 100 home runs quicker than Gary Sanchez. 0. Nada.
And how far back does that history date?
I mean, a couple years for sure.
Obviously we're not going to be doing any calculations here.
Hundreds of years, right?
I actually want to find out. It's got to be hundreds.
Okay, I'll let you get into that. But it's kind of insane, and we will talk about some of Gary's low points, but it's because the good stuff doesn't get highlighted enough because it is crazy good. Picture every player who's played American League Baseball and every player who's played National League Baseball except one guy, Ryan Howard, insert Jimmy Office joke here. Oh, did I do that right? Nobody has hitting 100 home runs quicker than Gary Sanchez. It's not catchers, it's everyone. And he's it's unreal how much we underappreciate Gary for some defensive flaws and for swinging through some pitches and subtle racism. I don't know.
Yeah, 1901 is when the American League was founded, so 119 years. Well, he did it last year, so 118 years.
118 years.
Yeah, another spiel that I give on this a lot is compare Gary to catchers. Don't compare him to guys who get to play the outfield and don't have to squat all game and don't have to, be on the same communication wavelength with 5 starting pitchers and 5 relievers,
He had the most home runs by a catcher last year. I want to say by 3 home runs, and he played 106 games. And then I think third was 28 home runs. Gary had 34. So it's unbelievable the power he has. And yeah, if you compare him to Judge, yeah, you might like Judge on some days. Some days you might like Gary and compare Gary to catchers because he truly is a special talent.
Top 1% of the league last season in barrels. So when he hits the ball, does he hit it flush and hard? Yeah, he's the best in the league.
Yeah.
He was top 5 in his putrid 2018 season, which was awful across the board. He was top 5% in the league at barrels.
Hey, just curiosity in cats, how's his sprint speed? Because Gary can turn it on a little bit coming around second.
I mean, 23rd percentile.
Okay, not good.
I don't believe it.
It's wrong. Is that better than that's worse than Voigt's, right?
I would guess that Gary is faster than Voigt.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm pulling up Voigt's now. Voigt's sprint speed is 28th percentile.
Yeah, I mean that's just a myth.
But you know what? Gary gets told to take it easy a lot because of his hamstring woes. So maybe that brings it. Maybe he's, if you took out
lazy, he's not a bum.
No, he's injury prone, which is also a downfall.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm on the Baseball Savant page and there's a show random video. Can I click one, Jake?
You can click one.
Okay. Show random video of Gary Sanchez. Let's see what they give me. Josh Lucas, ball in the dirt to Gary Sanchez. Just
taking a pitch?
Just a breaking ball outside.
Oh, no.
Gary didn't even think about swinging. It wasn't close. I love that.
That's brutal. Let's talk about the bad stuff, Jim. While I've got you giggling. Oh, the giggles went away. Damn. Maybe I shouldn't have. Defensive woes. He is not a plus blocker, but
he improved like tenfold.
He improved a lot. I mean, his blocking was never a problem throughout the season, which is in hindsight pretty wild. And I'll save it for my coup d'etat finishing speech. I don't know a lot of the words I say. Gary's arm strength is still really good. Really good arm strength. And then you mentioned the pitch framing, which he was good at, that we had to dig into for Gary Sanchez arguments.
Yeah.
And that faded a bit last year.
Yeah. Well, what happened was in 2018, he was awful. Like anytime a runner was on base, we're like, oh shit, don't throw a ball in the dirt. Like it was bad, as bad as it gets.
Oh yeah.
His blocking was much better last year. I think, there's 2 pitches in the postseason you can point out from Britain where Britain spiked him. We're like, damn, Gary, that was bad,
Right.
But over the course of the season, it wasn't a problem every game in, game out. Oh, shit, this reliever can't throw his nasty stuff because Gary's there. In turn, and I don't know if there's a connection to these two or not, his framing stats were garbage last year. And in 2017, his framing stats were top tier, like in the top percentile, and his blocking was bad. So his blocking jumps up from putrid to doable, average, not a problem. But his framing drops down. They bring in the new catching coach this year, Tanner Swanson. And he's going to, we think, drop Gary to one knee and help him out and do some different things there, and we'll see if that works. But that's kind of, in 2017 and 2018, all right, in 2017, the bad with Gary was the defensive blocking. In 2018, the bad with Gary was the defensive blocking and the injuries.
Yeah.
And the offense in 2018. It was just all around awful.
It was all bad.
In 2019, the offense was good. The blocking was good. The injuries were the main issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because around the one injury was 2 slumps.
Yeah, and that's and I'll get into the game logs a little bit to show those. But it is crazy, and I think one of the elevator speeches is I still believe Gary Sanchez is the most talented catcher in baseball. I don't think there's even much of an argument against that. To say he's the best catcher in baseball, you can't say that. And I used to be on that stance. I hope he has a 2020 that can allow me to say that. But the injuries and the consistency aren't there. And I'll show the consistency in the numbers a little bit. I mean, Gary Sanchez through June last year. I mean, in early June, he had a 1. OPS, 270 batting average, 345 on base, a 660 slugging, and that was on June 5th.
He finished 993 games, right?
No, it's a little less. That's like 60. But basically 82 games, end of June. He's hitting 261 with a 918 OPS, which again is incredible for a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
In July, he goes full slide. And let me get the July numbers. Baseball Reference making me work for it, but Daddy likes that. What are we talking about? In July, right before he gets hurt, Gary Sanchez goes 6 for 59. That's a 102 batting average from July 2nd to the 23rd. So that brings his OPS down 100 points to 807. He's hitting 229 now. So, I mean, an incredible MVP level offensive season a month earlier is now down to still pretty good, but the numbers don't look as good. And then he comes back and he actually raises those numbers a little bit, but it's the whole Gary Sanchez story. I mean, there's some highs and lows that are almost unbelievable, and you get why it presses some people's pressure points. But I don't know, man. He's so talented, and it would be awesome if he could shut everybody up. And then Tanner Swanson could take all the credit for it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
We like Gary, the bat's there, and the cuteness.
When I said coup d'etat and you typed in your computer to search it, how did you spell that?
Yeah, I did a lot of different spellings to figure out coup d'etat because you said it and then you openly admitted you have no idea what it means, but you just used it.
No clue.
What was the sentence you used it in?
No idea.
Okay. Well, I
was using it to say like my grandeur speech at the end, which is still coming.
Okay. A coup d'etat is a French appetizer consisting of sliced or whole vegetables, which are typically dipped in a vinaigrette or dipping sauces. And I think people say like the coup d'etat is like the fancy, like it's the fancy thing. Like, oh, this party's got some coup d'etat. And
so I have to give a fancy speech.
It turns into just like, oh, this is fancy. So like, I don't know if you used it right at all, but
it's unbelievable, man.
You pronounced it correctly.
It's unbelievable.
Like your lexicon is filled up. And I would say you only understand about 80% of what you say.
That's high. There's days when it feels like the wires in my brain are crossed.
No, but you have the lexicon of like a smart person. But
right.
you're
no, like I'm good at Scrabble. I'm a really good Scrabble player, but
you just don't know the meanings.
No, what nothing means.
You're like Charlie in Always Sunny when he does his Good Will Hunting. He's like Gordon Wood.
I mean, at the end of it, Gary's really good.
Really good, man.
Yeah.
Especially for a catcher. We do have Higgy is an unproven as the full-time backup. So he has a little less whatever now. Like if he gets injured, there's the ripple effect is a little more because last year we had Romine and then we had Higgy could come up. We don't have the second catcher in line. It's Iannetta or Tolley or Kratz, and I guess that's fine. That's the same as like Higgy, but we liked Romine as like, hey, he could fill in for a week.
Yeah.
We don't know if we like Higgy in the same way yet.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, Higgy, and this shouldn't be a shot at Higgy either because he looked pretty solid last year, but we don't know. In Romine, you know what you were going to get. He was going to be back there, and we got pretty comfortable with that. I think my coup d'etat thing that I could have been thinking about, who really knows, is that if Gary Sanchez plays 100 games, he's going to hit 30-plus home runs. And there's not – I asked you this yesterday, and how many guys do you genuinely think you could say that about in Major League Baseball? Like, if they play 100 games, they're hitting 30.
You can't. I don't know. We did this last time, and I said 20. You said less.
I said less. You said 10. I mean, we'd have to actually dig through names and get some stats and stuff. But I mean, it goes back to the earliest to 100 homers, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, in Gary Sanchez's no good, very bad season, I think he still had 18. He had 18 in 89 games, and that was like the worst season he could have possibly had. I mean, his BABIP was terrible, 186 batting average. He was clearly hurt. The guy hit 34 and 106 last year, 33 and 122 the year before that. I mean, it's crazy the natural power this guy has. And like, he kind of doesn't strike out at an extreme rate. And some people get mad at like judging Stanton for that. It's crazy the amount of Gary hate that comes up. Just be healthy, man. Just be healthy and dare mighty things, you know?
Dare mighty things. Hey, that time you said coup d'etat,
Yeah.
which is a military coup, like overtaking the leader. So
Right.
I don't know which you're using them interchangeably. There's coup d'etat, and then there's a crew d'etat. One's the fancy appetizer, one's a military coup. You're using both interchangeably as your big speech.
If you think I can differentiate those words, you're out of your mind. So
we talked last time we recorded this. We talked about that guy at winter meetings who told you that Gary Sanchez was going to be the new Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah, and that's that'll be my final take. The old baseball writer at winter meetings said that Gary was the next Jeff Francoeur after his terrible season. I said, no, sir. He's hurt and he's really good. And he is, and you see it. I mean, when Gary's banged up, he's not the same player, and he plays a position that gets banged up. So there's something there. But God, man, like he's so good, man. I want him to shut everyone up. I want him to have the 125 game season where you shove it up JT Real Muto's butt, you know? I feel like I had something. Oh, here we go, Jim.
Okay.
Here we go. Remember earlier when I said, if you hear me say, oh, it's because I remembered something good from yesterday.
What you remember?
Coming into last year's PPPs, we hoped that Gary Sanchez was hurt in 2018 and he was still talented, and it wasn't that he just couldn't hit sliders anymore. We hoped that his blocking would get better and that he could like stay behind the plate. Here we are a year later, and he can be behind the plate. Sure, he can obviously get better. And I don't know if defense is ever going to be a strength of Gary Sanchez's game, but that's fucking fine when he's the fastest American League player to ever hit 100 home runs. And the question marks about Gary's baseball stuff are not there this year, and they were last year, and we were kind of talking nervously. So the questions are around health, like it is with so many guys on the team. And if Gary's healthy, I have full confidence in him.
Yeah, we kind of ended it, and we'll end it here, or not end it, but we had to do projections still. But like, we're very tiptoe because there are flaws to his game, and there are things that are bad. But people harp on those and just completely ignore the record-setting offense from a catcher. And then a lot of people say, well, move him to DH, since he can't catch. He loses so much value because then instead of having Stanton at DH and Gary at catcher, you have Gary at DH and Higgy at catcher. And then your catcher is just like every other catcher in Major League Baseball and not the best offensive catcher in Major League Baseball. Yeah. So people need to understand the value of the position a guy plays. If you move him to DH, he loses all his value. Yeah, and I'll say this, not to strike up like a big time conversation. I mean, if Gary Sanchez has an injury riddled year, I could see there being a conversation next year where like, hey, he's maybe not built for the catcher position, the beating physically, and then maybe there's a conversation. But you're right. I mean, what catcher are you going to bring in to replace him? Because you're not, whoever it is, you're not going to like them in the lineup. Exactly. Yeah. Ed Zachary. Ed Zachary? He sucks.
Where's he play? He's bad.
He's been out of the league for a while. Yeah. You want to go over his projections?
I guess a little bit.
I'll be honest, I forget what they were, even though we did them last night.
Yeah, I mean, Baseball Reference has him 460 plate appearances, which is a couple more than he had last year. 29 home runs, 238 batting average, 819 OPS. Again, that goes against my whole 100 games, 30 home run speech, but that's why it's a dumb computer. Next.
Zips has Gary Sanchez projection at 467 plate appearances, and let me get out my calculator. Divided by 4, that's around 116 games with 32 home runs. So is that closer to what you say, 130, 116, 32?
I mean, kind of. Again, the machine's crunching the numbers. It's read all the books. It's looked at all the charts, and that's what it's saying. But Gary Sanchez is healthy, man.
they gave him a triple. They say he's going to get a triple and a stolen base. How many Yankees are projected to not hit a triple?
Gary had a triple last year.
What the fuck? Who's Thomas Malone, and why is Zips projecting him to have 5 triples?
Dude, don't look into that now. You're gonna get mad.
Who is that? I want to get.
Dude, it's got a lot of guys in there. It's a whole Zips thing. He gives a big speech about it in the top of the website. It's not for this.
The fuck?
Like they have DC's projections and stuff in there because they don't like take guys out sometimes and stuff. It's weird.
They've got Esteban Florial having 3 triples.
Yeah.
I hate everything about Zips now.
I know, and that's what I was worried about.
How am I going to use Zips projections when they're projecting Rosel Herrero to have 15 doubles in the bigs next year?
I'm telling you, there's a whole speech at the top of the website that addresses this whole thing, but I really don't think it's for the end of Gary Sanchez's player profile and projection.
Trey Amberg's hitting 16 home runs for the Yankees. This might be the end of me using Zips. I don't care what his big speech says. There's only one response. Don't do that. Maybe you make if you're projecting Trey Amberg to have 16 home runs, why would I take any other projection seriously at all?
I mean,
honestly,
it's like this is kind of a comedy show because his whole speech is about what you're doing right now and not to get mad about it. So.
Well, but I don't care. It's dumb.
I know, but this is
I'm
really
off.
bad
I'm off.
Gary's PPP though.
I'm off Zips. I'm just off. What was baseball? Baseball Reference had him at 29 home runs.
He's gonna hit a lot of homers.
You think him and Cole are gonna get along? I know we talked about that in Cole's a little bit. Need him to be good. Just get along.
It's forced. There's no other option.
Okay. Over under 30 home runs for Gary.
He's got to be healthy. I mean, catching guru guy's supposed to be awesome. I'm not going to say under. I just can't.
All right, cool.
That means I think Gary's playing under 100 games. And I just can't, like, mentally root for that.
Yeah, no. We don't want injuries here.
No.
All right. See you later, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening. That's another PPP in the book.